Hello everyone, this is Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and I'm glad you came to visit with me today. This is quite a collection, but there's very little in the way of stamps that I've used today, and you really don't need them. If you don't have stamps, no worries. This is a very easy card to make. I make several every year, and they're always very, very well received. These I'm going to use later for spattering. I have my little micro smoosher here, some blender brushes. I've already used my alcohol markers on this little piece of ribbon that I made out of this stamp that I bought recently used. It's a Stampington & Company stamp, 1997, Stamps Like a Charm, and it is called Checkerboarder. I also used my alphabet stamps that I got recently to stamp my Noel, and then I did some colorization on both of those pieces with these two alcohol markers. These are Bianco markers, and it's G515 and G554. I'm probably going to use some inks today, a couple of greens and a gray. Of course, my usual Books by Hand PVA glue will be on the table. I've got a black and a gold pen, and then I have a starting point. And let me tell you a little bit about this piece of paper. It came from some ink pickup off of a stencil that I used to make this card earlier in the week. And you can see what that stencil looks like. I got it from Amazon. You know, you can get stencils anywhere. But at any rate, when I stencil something like this, then the ink that's left on the stencil, I will go back right away and pick up on a couple of sheets of paper, actually, on this one. And then this one is trimmed down to 3 3/4 by 5. And that left me a little piece for the top of the insert. And it all works out very well now. This year, I am trying very hard to use up the majority of my colored cardstock, because I really am leaning more towards creating individual creations rather than a lot of colored cardstock sorts of things. So it's good to get these kind of things used up as you go along throughout the year. Let me clear off my desk and we'll get started. So this card is going to be a very simple Christmas tree image card, and I have just cut myself a little template, and you can see I just folded my paper in half and drew a little simple line as to kind of an idea of where I wanted it to go, and then I just used my scissors and freehand cut it. Now this particular one ended up being 4 inches tall by 1 3/8 inches wide when it was folded, in case you need to know that. But really, you can cut these freehand and be just fine, and they'll be symmetrical. I should have waited to cut this down to my size until after I had done my stenciling because of the position of it. But I'm going to put a little bit of ATG on the back of this card, front, just enough to hold it. Adjust my light a little bit, just enough to hold it where I want it, and then I'm going to move it about 1/4 inch. You can see the border there, and I'm just going to stabilize it right there so that when I put my guide down, then I can do the same with it and be relatively certain my fold line will go on the middle here and here, and then I know that it's relatively straight before I got all this work. And what I want to do then is I want to take my Pigma Micron pen, and I like the 01s for doing pen work on these kinds of things, and I'm just going to draw my image on here, just the first one. We're going to go back and do some more of that. So you see this little dip right there is totally irrelevant to what we're doing. It's just getting your basic outline so that when you go back in, then you can go over top of it with some more ink. And I'm going to take some blending brushes and just blend some color onto this tree. And I'm going to be darker on the outside. This is gumball green, an old green color. It's one of my favorites. But you'll see I'm leaving it lighter on the inside. And what that does is it brings a brightness to the inside of your tree. And it makes it kind of curve a little bit to your eye. And now I'm going to go back in with some garden green and go right over top of that. And I'm going to use the same blending brush. And you'll see the color changes now. There. So that when we lift it up, you can kind of see that curve starting on this little tree. These are kind of a little primitive card. Well, primitive looking type card. And I kind of like to go back in with my micron pen then and do the same thing that we do sometimes with the outside borders, and just do a little freehand squiggly line. And it softens that really hard line that I did with the stencil then. And it makes it look like you do the whole thing freehand when actually you didn't. And this is a really easy way to do any kind of an outline on an image that you just don't feel comfortable with drawing an image on. There. Now, I do want to put a little star up on the top, or facsimile of a star, so I'm going to just make a little swirl here. Connect that back in. And then I'm going to get my little tiny little smoosher that I made several weeks ago with y'all. And I'm going to put some bright yellow ink down on that. And that's going to be my little star image. This makes a great little candle flame also if you're doing a birthday card. Now, in order to do a little bit more to this card, I'm going to come back with my stencil, place it over top again, and I'm going to come in with some drywall tape. And I'm going to try to get my drywall tape kind of square to the card a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to bring my blending brush back with just a little bit of gray. I'm going to go ahead and use this same green blending brush. I'm just going to take a piece of scratch paper and wipe some of that green ink off of it. Now on the gray, what I just want is a little subtle pattern on this tree. So I'm going in with a really light hand, and it may not even be particularly visible at this point, but you'll notice it when the drywall tape gets pulled off of this card. And again, I want to be heavier on the outside than I am on the inside of this card. Of this tree. Now let's see how that looks. I believe just a little bit more will do. There. And now we have a very interesting image. And I'm going to finish this card off with a little bit of garland, just drawn in with my black pen. And I'm just going to go side to side like you've seen 100 times before on a Christmas tree drawing. And just be easy and gentle with your pen, and don't make a big deal out of it. It'll all be fine no matter where it ends up. Trust me on this. There. Now, I want to go ahead and put a little bit of ink spatter on this. I'm not going to get my spatter box out, which may be a mistake, but I'm hoping to be doing some very directional spatter on this. I need to get an acrylic block. I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black ink for the spatter. I'm just going to pick up a little bit on my on my acrylic block, and give it one little small spritz of water, just to be able to manipulate the ink a little bit. And then I'm going to mix it all in thoroughly. And I think I want it just a little bit blacker than that, so I'm going to go in with my paintbrush then and pick up some more ink until it gets to be the blackness level that I want. And then I'm just going to tap. And you see, when you do it this way, it doesn't go all over Kingdom Come, and you can have a little bit of better control with it. There, and that's plenty. So let's put this card together. I'm not sure on the sentiment whether I'm going to use that or not, because it's a little large for this card. But we shall see. I'm going to go ahead and glue the inside down. When you're gluing your inside panels down, you can be fairly skimpy with the glue, because there's not going to be any stress on your inside panel at all. It stays nicely tucked away inside your card. And so don't waste your glue on that. Now, of course, the question is, do we want the strip on the top or the bottom? And on this one, I think I'm just going to put it on the bottom. And I'm going to leave an even border all the way around. Using these tweezers really helps me get my borders situated, because I don't touch down my panels on the cards until I actually can kind of see where they're going to end up. Now, I don't know, that's a nice enough card front, but I'm thinking maybe we need a little more something on that. So let's just see. Yeah, you know, I like this piece of little ribbon that I made, but I don't think it's going to work for this. And I may have to cut my Noel sentiment apart, but that may be just fine up there where it is. I'm not sure at this point, but I do know that I want to put a little trunk on this tree. So I'm going to get some brown, my rich cocoa out, and I'm going to pull my gray flannel ink as well, because I don't want to have solid rich cocoa color. It's a little too bright. I want to do just a little bit more muted color, and a good way to accomplish that, whoops, wrong lid, is to put a little gray in with your color. It mutes greens and yellows and blues and this brown down just a touch to make it kind of a more vintage look, if you will. And again, I'm going to go back in with just a little smidge, not much now, of water, and mix those two colors of paint together. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of black left on my paintbrush, and that's fine. I don't care. Yeah. Okay, there we go. And that will dry up nicely. So I have my little gold pen here, and I think I'm going to go back in and do just a little bit of gold pen work on this garland, and do just kind of a little wonky line traveling along that same line with the black. Just like you would a very thin, fine piece of gold garland. There. And I believe I'm going to do another one. Just because I can. You know me. I like a little bling with my Christmas cards. There. Now we're getting it going. Isn't that going to be pretty? There we go. Got one more to do. And here it is. There. Oh, that's lovely. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a little black edge around this card front, because I had thought about putting a little silver layer up underneath that, but I don't like that. And my gold paper is all packed somewhere. Very frustrating. But my black Sharpie is a godsend, and it works very well. Let's see if I can do this now without ruining my card. And I know everybody tells me to do it from the back, but I swear I just don't seem to be able to get it inked up right when I do that. So I'm one of those front inkers, and I just try to be careful. All this is going to do is to give you just a little finish line on this card and take away that solid white core on that paper. That's all we're doing. All right. And now we're ready to glue this down. And because it has a little warp going on there, I'm going to put a little extra glue on this panel that, of course, I didn't need on the other one on the inside. You don't often see me put my glue lines quite this tight, but I want this to lay down really nice and flat on the front of this card. And I'm going to go ahead and put a solid line on the outside here and down here. Okay, now I'll get my tweezers again. See if I can get this image put in the center of the front. There we go. Now, I think I will put the Noel on there, and I'm going to put this up on some foam tape, and we're going to call this card done. And you can let me know in the comments whether you liked it or not. And I'm hopeful that you'll try some template cutting. I have another video coming out soon for the star shape, and then I'll have another one for the ornament shape as well later on this month, because I always have tried to do Christmas in July, and I actually got started a little bit early in June, so I've been posting some Facebook Christmas cards over on the Facebook page, and they seem to be fairly well received, so that's what we're doing right now. This card's finished, and I hope you enjoy it, and that it sparks some creativity in you, and that you'll have a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.